Vic Van Allen chose early retirement, having accumulated wealth through his involvement in the morally questionable drone industry. He returns home after a bike ride. His wife, Melinda, watches him with curiosity as he arrives. The couple has a young daughter, and in the next scene, the daughter irritates her mother by listening to her favorite song, and the mom told her to stop. Melinda appears disinterested in motherhood. Instead, she focuses on engaging in intimate relationships with various other men. Vic goes into a room where Melinda asks him to help choose a dress for her. Later, she requests him to fetch her black shoes, a task he happily fulfills. It becomes evident that Vic obediently follows his wife's orders. The story moves to a party where Vic and Melinda socialize, drink, and interact with friends. Melinda reconnects with an old friend, Joe, whom she shamelessly flirts with all night and engages with him, catching Vic's attention. The tension rises when Melinda takes Joe to a private space and kisses him, making Vic aware of the infidelity. Despite catching each other's eyes, Melinda continues her fantasies unabated. She even dances on a piano to attract attention and plays the piano afterward, seemingly unfazed by her peculiar actions. Surprisingly, Vic smiles at her as if nothing happened. Later that evening, when Joel expresses gratitude to Vic for allowing him to spend time with Melinda, Vic calmly reveals to Joel that he was responsible for the demise of the last man Melinda was involved with, Martin. Vic discloses that he used a hammer to end Martin's life. Joe initially takes it as a joke, but Vic insists it's a serious matter. Joe leaves abruptly, and Melinda disapproves of Vic's actions toward her friend. Later that night, while Vic talks to the babysitter, Melinda enters the kitchen shirtless. Vic tries to dismiss her, causing annoyance, and she leaves upset. As the narrative unfolds, we learn more about Melinda's character. She appears careless and selfish. Additionally, it's revealed that Vic has a peculiar hobby of keeping snails as pets. A couple of days later, Vic meets up with his friends. During the gathering, he learns that everyone is aware of how he threatened Joe by telling him a joke about Martin McRae. They also discuss Melinda's behavior, emphasizing that she is acting inappropriately in front of Vic, suggesting that she might be unwell. Back at home, Melinda becomes aware of this discussion and urges Vic to apologize to Joe. She extends an invitation to Joe for dinner on Friday. When Friday arrives, Joe knocks on the door, and Vic welcomes him nervously. Joe inquires about Melinda's presence, and Vic, in jest, responds that she isn't home. Later, Vic informs Joe that they will be enjoying seafood and engaging in conversations. However, he discovers that Joe is allergic to seafood. Despite Melinda being aware of Joe's allergy, she defiantly keeps this information from Vic. During dinner, Vic makes Joe a grilled cheese sandwich, and Melinda appears to exacerbate tensions with her actions, seemingly attempting to annoy her husband. Melinda then instructs Vic to take their daughter to bed and tell her bedtime stories. After fulfilling this task, Vic encounters Melinda and Joe engaging in an intimate manner. Subsequently, Joe expects an apology from Vic due to the joke about killing Martin McRae. In response, Vic clarifies that it was not a joke and nothing to apologize for. Then he informed him that his Uber is here, Joel wondering that he didn't other Uber, and Vic told him that he ordered for him. At a party one day, Vic encounters a writer who labels him a killer and cracks jokes about him killing Martin McRae. Undeterred, Vic engages in dancing with the writer's wife, sparking jealousy in Melinda and surprising onlookers who didn't know Vic could dance. On their way home, Melinda compares herself to other women. Subsequently, she attempts to engage in intimate activities with him while he's driving. While watching their daughter play soccer in school, Vic receives a call from the bank informing him that Melinda sent $3,000 to a pianist. Intrigued, he decides to investigate further. To his discovery, the pianist is not only a skilled expert, but also attractive, implying that Melinda will likely be spending time with him soon as well. At night, a drunk Melinda returns home, and Vic questions her whereabouts. On the same day, he encounters the pianist walking with flowers, which end up in their home. Vic becomes concerned about Melinda having an affair while he spends most of his time at home, unaware of his wife's activities with the pianist. Vic confronts Melinda for her actions of not coming home the entire night and using his money to cheat on him. Regardless of his efforts, Melinda remains self-conscious and indifferent to his feelings. She openly admits to having an amazing time with the pianist. The following week, Melinda invites the pianist to their party, where Vic shakes hands with him. Once again, Vic finds his wife being intimate with another man, showcasing Melinda's carelessness even in front of her husband. As everyone goes inside due to rain, the party resumes. However, the pianist is missing, prompting Melinda to check on him. She discovers him dead in the pool and starts screaming. Dawn and Vic attempt to revive Charlie, accidentally dropping him on his head while pulling him out of the pool. However, when they inform the police, it becomes apparent that Charlie was already deceased. Melinda is convinced that Vic is responsible for Charlie's death and voices her suspicions to the police. Despite her accusations, Vic manages to persuade them that Melinda is unstable, and there isn't sufficient evidence against him. Vic later questions Melinda that she truly believes that he killed Charlie. Why is she not afraid of living with him? And she replied, no, that she's the one Vic has been killing for that. She's not afraid of him. While riding his bicycle, Vic imagines Melinda with another man, witnessing flashes of him taking his own life. They invite friends to dinner, where Vic asks Dawn to stop spreading rumors about him being a killer. Vic becomes increasingly suspicious and holds meetings with Melinda about the subject. One day, Vic takes a casual stroll and notices cameras in Melinda's car. To his surprise, he sees Melinda accompanied by a man who identifies himself as a psychologist. Subsequently, it is unveiled that Melinda and her friend, revealed to be Dawn, paid a private detective to investigate Vic. Vic makes this discovery through his bank details, having observed his wife sending money to Dawn's account. Upon realizing their actions, Vic confronts Dawn during dinner with his family, expressing his anger and demanding they put a stop to the investigation. Vic discovers that Melinda is involved with yet another man, whom his wife invites for dinner in their house, who happens to be her ex-boyfriend. Tony expresses a desire to eat some of Vice's pet snails for dinner, but Vic explains that the snails are not for eating due to their poisonous nature without proper preparation. Despite the potential for poisoning, it turns out to be a diversion. And inside the house, Melinda hugs Tony as if he were her husband. During their conversation, she reveals to Vic that Tony was the first American she slept with. Tony laughs and blushes about it. Vic becomes visibly upset, witnessing the unfolding events. Later in the evening, they enjoy food and music, dancing inappropriately in front of Vic. He observes Melinda engaging in her usual activities, exchanging glances. Vic convinces Tony to join him for a drive under the pretense that there's a building site Melinda wants to show him. However, Vic steers the car recklessly into a remote part of the woods with no cell service and proceeds to end Tony's life by stoning and hitting him with heavy stone. He pushes him off the cliff, placing a heavy rock on Tony's body and submerging it in the water before returning house. After taking Tony's life, Vic and Melinda enter a sort of honeymoon phase in their marriage. They organize a charming family picnic, selecting a location near where Vic had disposed of Tony's body. However, during the picnic, Vic observes that the body is partially visible in the river, prompting them to leave. As they depart, Melinda realizes she forgot her scarf, and Vic assures her he will return to retrieve it. At night, he learns that Melinda is talking to another man named Don. She invites him to sleep in her room, confessing her love. With the hope of properly burying the body, Vic later returns to the location alone on his bike to conceal it more effectively. While Vic is prodding at the body with a stick, presumably attempting to dislodge it and make it float further down the river, his actions are abruptly interrupted by Don. It remains unclear whether Don knew Vic was there due to the private investigator, or if he coincidentally happened to be in the area. Nevertheless, Don immediately becomes suspicious, descends to get a closer look, and notices the body in the water. Realizing Vic might be involved in foul play, Don hastily flees in his car. Vic promptly pursues Don on his bike, employing a shortcut to intercept him. Don, in the midst of texting his wife about his suspicions, is taken aback when Vic pulls ahead of him. In a state of panic, Don swerves his car wildly, ultimately driving off a cliff and colliding with rocks on the way down into the river. Presumably, he succumbs to his injuries and is left presumed dead. Meanwhile, back at the house, Melinda stumbles upon Tony's wallet inside one of the snail containers. It dawns on her that the reason she hasn't been able to reach Tony is that Vic took his life. Reacting to this discovery, Melinda begins packing a bag, seemingly ready to leave Vic. However, her daughter intervenes, tossing the bag into the pool and asserting that they are not leaving. As Vic bikes home, Melinda greets him on the steps, adopting a facade of normalcy, reminiscent of their first scene in the movie. She then calmly informs him, "I saw Tony," before walking upstairs. The subsequent scene reveals Melinda burning Tony's driver's license. Melinda's statement and symbolic act convey her decision to stand by Vic and assist in covering up his crime. In a compromise typical of marriage, they acknowledge each other's flaws, Vic as a murderer and Melinda as an adulterer, concluding the movie. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content like this.